Yo, what's up everyone? It's Vit, that chancellor that you just love to hate. So I just figured since things have been a bit slow lately, we would take the time to put together another tier list. As many of you guys remember, last year Rami did his own tier list, and I think he did pretty well with that. However, most of his video was focused on a small snapshot of the recent months at that time PvP, probably like a 3-month window of when PvP was kind of popping off. And this list is going to be, from start to finish, so from 2021 December until today, which is February 19th, 2023. So we've basically got our grades here. So here's the tier list. Grades are based on performance, team contributions, and attitude. And the title is 2023 SWGEmu Finalizer Pre-CU PvPers Ranked. We have 7 ranks. We have S through F. S being the highest impact, such as leaders or players who can make or break a fight. Next is A, high skill players who assist with turning the tide of a fight. B will be strong player, they listen well and they're competent. C is about average with some room for improvement. D is needing to learn the game mechanically, but not necessarily bad. E is a poor gameplay mechanically, but not quite on the bottom. And F is reserved for the bottom of the barrel, those who are just bad at the game, create drama, harass other players, are depressing to be around, etc. So yeah, let's just jump right into it then. This is the list that I have compiled. It's randomly ordered. Hopefully I have everybody that ever PvP'd on Finalizer on this list. And if you're not on this list, I apologize. I know that I spent some time trying to gather everybody's name on this list. There's over 100 names on this list, so hopefully everybody here is accounted for, and if not, there's always next time, because I'll probably do this again. So yeah, with all that being said, let's just jump right into it. Got a great start here. Got Nath up first. So Nath, he's an exceptional healer. He's one of the best Jedi healers I've ever played with, and I think he's also very helpful to have on your team, just in terms of how he farms a lot. He's very helpful, he's very generous. He's got a great attitude, and he's just really fun to be around. So I think that's an easy S for me. It gets an S. We have Zyrant next. So Zyrant played CM in several fights. He had good poison, I think he had some cap stuff. He often was caught out of position, and he died a lot. So he didn't really make too much of an impact. I didn't really hear too much from him though. He was okay. So I think I'll put him in the middle at C. I think that's a fair grade for him. Alright, next up we've got Crypto. I recruited Crypto actually into Judge. He's been one of the most active PvPers I've seen on the server. And he plays Rifleman pretty well. He's also played as Commander pretty well, and he's helped our team with damage when we needed it. So I think he's pretty strong, he's pretty confident. I'm going to put him at B. Alright, so we've got Brandon B, Imp Jedi. So originally I thought Brandon B was okay, but towards the end of the year he started making some bad decisions, and he would just run from one person to a house at the first sight of trouble. Well, I thought he was kind of boring how he played. And I heard from a couple guilds when Hellas was talking to that he was a bit toxic, so I think we're going to put him down at E based on recent developments. Next we have Tweak. So Tweak is a great team player. He always listened well, he would always respond to pings constantly when he was active. A highly dependable player, and he did his job well at Jedi and CM. Very good CM. Always kept us alive when we were fighting. So I think I'm going to put Tweak at A. And then next up we have Tylox. Tylox played as Jedi very well. He was Jedi healer, he was squishier, but he never really died until it was either a gank or the fight was already over. So in most fights he was always one of the last ones to die. And I think he played smart, and he contributed to the rebel side as well as much as he could. So I'm going to put Tylox in the A tier. Alright, we've got a big name here. We've got Unknown. Unknown played at the beginning of the server. He's very skilled, and he played Master Healer in his Jedi as well. The highlight of Unknown, though, is his ability to shot call. He's very good at leading his group, and I think he was critical to Rain's early success on the server. So I'm going to put Unknown at S. Alright, and then Serbi. So Serbi, he played CM for the OFT guild, which I think was Doombat's guild, MF Doombot that is. He was often in a lot of fights, I saw him around, but he was usually one of the first few to die quickly, so I think he may have been new based on his playstyle, so I'm actually going to give him the benefit of the doubt, put him at D as a newer player, possibly. Viv is another Master Healer Jedi, and Viv always volunteered to do whatever the team needed. So I think she does her role very well, and she also contributed to the team by playing her swords whenever we needed a tank or get rid of turrets, so I think Viv is going in the A tier. Okay, Vasafi. Vasafi is a very good troll. He really knows how to psych out the enemy team, and he's also a good player in the GCW. He listens to calls, he supports the team, and I think Vasafi goes to A. Alright, got another big name here, Lemon Pepper. Lemon Pepper is the easiest S on this entire list. I'll tell you why. He is, mechanically, he's like superb. Like his skills, he's always on point. But more importantly, he's an excellent leader in this game. It's not easy to lead group PvP, as many know. I've done it plenty of times. But he is, in my opinion, the best shot caller I have played with in SWG. About 20 years of playing this game. Very high skill cap on his Jedi. I've seen him play other professions as well on this server. But yeah, I think it speaks for itself. I think Lemon Pepper, you are on the S tier. So Chupa X. You know, I heard a lot about this guy. He's supposed to be something special, but I just never really saw it. I never really saw him except a few fights. He was one of the few people I always saw making a mistake getting caught. And he never really talked to me though. So I think I'll just put him in the E tier with Brandon. Alright, and Divum. Well, I can tell you right now, Divum is going straight to the F tier. Divum would constantly play the victim, and he constantly asked Rebels for like help with things. Like he wanted people to get unbanned on the forums, and he just a lot of drama and just a crybaby. He constantly asked us to not gank and stuff like that, even though the imps did it daily. And honestly, he was one of the first few to run in a fight. So like if one Imperial player died, he would just instantly just run away. And he often would flop too. Like he had a lot of issues standing up, and I think his template sucked, and I don't think he was a good player at all based on what I saw from him. He fed us a lot of FRS too. So yeah, he belongs in the F tier. Alright, we've got Vulcan. Vulcan played in Rain. He's a very good normie player. He played Swordsman, and he was always there to help tank, and he never complained. And in PvP, he performed well. So Vulcan goes to A. Okay, and we've got myself here, and well, it's a little hard to grade yourself, so let me just take a look real quick here. Okay. Alright, so moving right along here, we've got Hykarin, and he is a very knowledgeable player. He volunteered to play any profession we needed when he came back to the project, and he did it really well. I also think Hykarin is very enjoyable to play with, and I'm going to put him in A. Alright, so we've got Din. Honestly, just very cancerous, very toxic player to be around. Constant drama on the forums, and he was banned several times. I know he dropped Knight because he just constantly got farmed, and he just didn't play Jedi very well at all. And I think there's not much more to say than that, except to go to the F tier. Okay, so we've got Nosir next, and I think Nosir is a good CM player. He helped tip the scales in Rain's favor early at the start of the server, and Livy is just fun to play with. He's entertaining, and I think, honestly, if Livy played more on Finalizer than he did, I would be able to grade him at S. But basically, since he didn't play that much, I'm probably going to just put him at A. Okay, Balenciaga, another high skill CM player. And Balenciaga is, I think, an S tier, easy. He would constantly make the Imperials fear him. They constantly try to kill him consistently anytime he was out fighting. And he had some massive balls. He would just be out front in the front line as a combat medic fighting and dotting everybody, and his poisons were huge. So Balenciaga is an S. Alright, so we've got another great player up next, Zeox. Zeox is one of the best Jedi players I've actually ever come to know. Zeox switched his template several times, and he always performed no matter what he played. He also got us a ton of kills for the Rebel side on his bounty hunter, Mahara Pralaya. He's very easily S tier based on everything he's done on Finalizer. Alright, so Dinkle. You know, somehow this guy played really badly on this server, even though he had access to so many dot weapons, and he just was really geared on this server. I know he was pretty rich and had a lot of credits, but he just was consistently out of position, and he was constantly on the forum just spreading conspiracy nonsense and harming the server's reputation. So I don't think I would ever play with this guy on 1.0 or another game just because he is trash tier. So I'm going to put him in F. Alright, and we've come up now to Mr. Loka himself, Hellos. So I actually met Hellos towards the tail end of the GCW. It's kind of unfortunate he missed so much of the PvP. But he did come in and re-rolled whatever tempo we needed. I know he played Pikeman, he played Swordsman and Fencer and some other things. He's very good at curing. Very knowledgeable of this game. Mechanically performs well to this day in PvP, and I don't think he lost anything back from pre-seed to now. So I'm going to put him in S tier. Easy. Alright, so Perfect Circle. This weirdo is the worst player, the worst Jedi player I've ever seen on Finalizer by far. He constantly fed FRS, and he just has bad obsession tendencies with people he doesn't even know or have talked to before. And he just constantly would follow people around on the Rebel side, trying to Tef lock people on his bounty hunter for several months during group PvP, and then would like actually brag about abusing the broken mechanic. And then fortunately group Tef was added, so people like him couldn't do that anymore. Very, very shitty person, very shitty player. Also found out from people who play with him that he had a lot of real life problems due to his gaming addiction, so because of all that, he's going to go in the F tier. Alright, so we've got Abby. Abby Miso, he's like Vasafi, he's a very good troll, and he's entertaining to play with. He knows how to play Jedi pretty well, and he knows the game pretty well. And he does go off on his own sometimes instead of with a team, but he does spark a lot of PvP, and like I said, he's good at psyching the enemy team out. So I think because he made a lot of PvP for us, I'm going to put Abby at A. Alright, next up we've got Bale. Balezahorn. He was one of the few FR3 Jedi before any of the imps went FR3 and they spammed it and made it the new meta. But Bale did a great job of securing kills for a lot of us and getting us FRS after they would run away, because we won like 95% of the fights. But yeah, the enemy would always scatter and Bale would chase them down. And Bale also was a great healer for people that needed it, so I'm going to put Bale at A. Alright, so Blurry. Blurry is a 10 out of 10 healer Jedi. Always on target. He's reliable. He listens well. Very rarely have I seen any mistakes from Blurry, and I just don't have any complaints while playing with him. He's always somebody I like to have in my group, so S tier for being one of the better players in the server, Blurry. So PYI. PYI is one of those cringe 1v1 Jedi. You know, it's an open world MMO, not Mortal Kombat. He always stayed in the back, and he was always afraid of dying, and he always somehow ended up cloning, even though he like played very scared. So he also was permabanned because of his attacks on staff on the forums and Discord. So because of that, I would put him in E, but I'm going to put him in F because he was nasty as staff. Alright, so Ragni. Ragni is a very good player. He's at most of the fights during the peak of GCW. He would always scout for us the enemy movement, and he was also at bosses, most of the world bosses with us. Secured a lot of kills like Bale with FR3. And I didn't see many mistakes from him either, so I'm going to put him at A. Okay, so Uwu. Uwu, I guess, is Coral, or somebody that is supposed to be like a good Jedi on the server, but I just didn't really see him around too often. Kind of a disappointing performance, in my opinion. I think he dropped Knight, and he just seemed like cannon fodder for the Rebel side. He died frequently, and he just made like no impact at all for his team, so I'm going to put him in E tier. Alright, and we've got DJ Dadslayer X. Played with the Rebels at the start of the server. He's a very good normie toon, and he was a fencer. He follows calls, he's always on target, and he's one of the more cool people to play with on this game. So I'm going to put him at A tier. Dervish Monster. Deta is a Finalizer legend. I think he's one of the best Jedi players to have been in this project. He created a lot of PvP, he's always been strong mechanically, and he's a pretty base person, so I think I'm going to put Dervish Monster in S tier. Okay, and we've got Rufio. Yeah, Rufio is just one of the worst people on the server, unfortunately. He's going straight to F tier, and I'll explain why. He's a known exploiter, he's a known multi-accounter, he hugged base and ATSTs, and he encouraged people on the team, his team, to just do the same. So, you know, because his team always avoided PvP, you know, that just makes him a very bad player. But on top of that, the icing on the cake is, you know, he harassed staff frequently. He's one of the worst Jedi I've ever seen as well, right behind Perfect Circle, I think. So, big F. Okay, and then we've got Shuichi. Shu is a 10 out of 10 Jedi player. He also had a bounty hunter help track PvP for us. He was able to play multiple templates as well, like Ziak, and I just didn't really see him make any errors, like, ever. So I'm going to put Shu in the S tier. Alright, so Giggity. Giggity, he spawned a bit of PvP, and he was trying to get the imps to not be so scared and cooperate towards the end of the year for 2022. But unfortunately, I think after he left there, they just kind of like gave up completely. And yeah, after Giggity left the Empire, they just stopped PvPing altogether. He just got fed up, and I can't blame him. He did go Rebel later, and you know, I think he played pretty well. And he improved since I first started seeing him play on the server. So I'm going to give him a B tier for improving and getting the GCW going, or trying to. Alright, so Free Win. I think Free Win is one of the best norming players I've seen on Finalizer, but unfortunately he wasn't very active except the beginning. So based on that, I'm going to put him on the A tier. However, many of the imps did fear this guy. He is one of the more feared Rebel players that I've seen around. We've got Elderborn, another high skill CM like Balenciaga, and he played what the group needed. He never complained. Always a very helpful guy. You could always rely on him when he was online to help tip the scales of a fight. So I think Elderborn is going to go to S. Okay, so Rav Savage, he's good at baiting, but mostly played healer, and I didn't really see him heal too much. So I know he contributed to the faction a lot of other ways, and he's a pretty solid player. So I think it's fair to give him a B. Alright, so CD Pyro, I would rank him as the third worst Jedi in the server, behind Perfect Circle and Rufio. He's one of those streamer privileged player Jedi, and he constantly complained and made excuses about things. He had no heal states, like his template was just really weak, and he was constantly permanently on FR3 in fights to get tags to try to rank up, but he never ranked up. The highest he got was like rank 2. He's a dot meta Jedi from Basilisk, and I just think that this game isn't designed for 2-hour long 1v1s, and that's not how the game was if you look on YouTube and look and see what videos are actually up of pre-CU. So because of all these qualities, or lack of qualities I should say, about CD Pyro, I'm going to put him at F tier, especially since he blamed staff on the forums for pre-CU features getting into the game. Alright, so Thurgood, he didn't play very long, but he was part of Rufio's group. I know he relied on spamming bases instead of actually playing the game, and people knew him for just spamming attack and PvP for his ATST, but he really didn't contribute nothing, so I'm going to put him at E. Solid, he's also part of Rufio's group. He encouraged the imps really to just sit on the guild hall or even stay offline to quote-unquote like deny content to the rebels and the GCW, but it really didn't work because he died many times in PvP and he never made any noticeable impact. So because of his dodging attitude and his poor attitude overall, I'm going to put him in F tier. Alright, so Pistol. He's a quality player. As Master Healer Jedi, he was always good at keeping priority targets alive. Stayed on target, he did good damage, and he assisted with the direction of the group. So I think Pistol is going to go at A. Alright, and Plato. Initially he was Imperial, he later went Reb, and I actually found out he's a pretty good dude to play with. Yeah, he contributed to the faction with gear, he listened, and he ranked up pretty quick. So Based on that, in addition to using his bounty hunter to help get PvP going, I am going to put him at A. Alright, we've got Aldaris, who likes to upload ganking videos on YouTube. He's a toxic player. He complains about it and doesn't really have a grasp on how it works. Mechanically, he makes a lot of errors, a lot of deaths, and he only tried to gank to rank up, so he would always avoid group PvP. Never was any stellar performance from him. He was always running and hiding instead of growing a pair, so he's going to get an F. Alright, so we've got Baker, and like Aldaris, they're pretty much identical gameplay-wise. They're both pretty bad at Jedi. He's actually worse because he tried to like dox women on the Rebel side, and I just saw him having like really creepy behavior and stalking behavior. And I know he received multiple bans for his shitty behavior towards staff as well, because he did harass staff members. So that's an easy F. Alright, and then we have Mr. Polly. I think Mr. Polly is the best CM player I've played with. I've been around. He is frequently the difference in winning a fight with his heals and his poisons. And I think he was dedicated to farming, and he had the best gear available to help the team. So he was always putting the group first and before anything else because of that. So I think he's a top-notch normie player, and he gets an S. Alright, so Madhead. He's one of the first unlocks on Jedi. I know he is a very good Jedi player, very knowledgeable on the profession, and he makes a big difference when he's at a fight. So he's never out of position, he's good DPS, and I like having him in my group, so I'm going to put Madhead at A. So Unspoken For, he's mostly a follower and a troll, but he's not very good at it like somebody like Visafi. So I think Unspoken For just tried to like lock people out of fights on his bounty hunter, as some of the other people mentioned, and he really didn't make much of a noticeable difference in PvP. So, but because I can't really take his trash talking serious, and I don't think he can actually help himself, I'm just going to put him at E instead of F. Alright, so Bearded Mouse. He played with the imps at the height of the GCW, but unfortunately he dropped Knight after dying like one time. He was rank 8, so like he was Jedi Master, pretty high up there when he dropped it. But I can't blame him too much for, you know, not wanting to play with the imps at that point, because they're pretty cancerous to deal with and shitty people. So in my opinion, I'm going to put him at C, because I give him the benefit of the doubt, because he wasn't too bad. He did run a lot, and he did drop Knight, but you know, he left the imp side, so I'm going to C. Alright, so Laguna. He's a former local player, and unfortunately he just did not adjust well to the new meta on EMU. So since he didn't make much of an impact and he kind of just was always there just as a corpse, I'm just going to put him at E. Okay, and we've got Gospel. He is the legendary SWGEmu streamer, and I think he's the best streamer in my opinion. He spent a lot of time researching and spreading information to the community to help. He knew the profession well, Jedi and whatever else he played. He's entertaining to watch, entertaining to hang out with, and I think once he got the hang of Finalizer on his Jedi, he created a lot of PvP for us by baiting and faking out the imps. He did rank up pretty quickly once he returned. He made it to Council, and I think he's one of the biggest impacts on the server, so I'm going to go ahead and put him at S as well. Alright, so Chobin, he's a highly annoying player. Talks trash, and he just runs around in circles, and you know, he won't 1v1, he won't 2v2, he won't 3v3. He's just constantly trying to just gank, and more recently he's just harassing people on the server he doesn't like, so a very low skill. He's going to F. Alright, so we've got Bosswain, and Bosswain, he played multiple roles for the team. He was very active and one of the most reliable people to play with during PvP. And he ranked up very quick in his Jedi, and he was also a great Rifleman. I don't think he died once in his Rifleman. And he also had a Bounty Hunter, so I'm going to put him in A tier. Okay, Brianna, not a very well-known Jedi. She played like Master Defender. Didn't see her for a few fights, like just like 2 or 3. But seemed to be one of the first few to die despite being Master Defender. I think she was new, so I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and put her at D. Alright, so Dro first. So I know Dro gets a lot of flack, but he is fun and entertaining to play with. The imps did take advantage of a feature that Dro wasn't aware of. They ganked him repeatedly. I know that was rough for Dro, especially for his time zone. since the imps like to avoid head-on PvP and just like gank people. So I think Dro did contribute in other ways to the team, and he was pretty helpful. So I'm going to put him at C tier because Dro did improve, and he's improved a lot. Okay, so Pete is not to be confused with the actual not Pete, who's actually a cool guy. Pete was the guild leader of Sith, also known as Horde, and he was banned for cheating. He was like multi-accounting and some other stuff, so he was known about crying about pre-seed features like group theft being implemented, and he just wanted to lock Jedi out of PvP, kind of like Perfect Circle did, so I'm going to put him at F. Alright, Peeves. Range Jedi, always played strongly at the beginning of Finalizer. I never saw him die once, I don't think. I don't have much more to say than that because he quit early, so I'll put Peeves at A. Alright, up next we've got Revan. Revan was a bit of a disappointment on this server. He gave up pretty easily. I know he had a lot of complaints about Jedi and stuff, but that's just the way pre-seed was. There were a lot of Jedi running around. But due to the nature of the toxicity on the Imperial side, I can't really say I blame him too much for not wanting to play with the imps, honestly. Revan's generally pretty good, and I played with him before, so I like playing with Revan, and I like his ability to be able to organize and lead a team. But on this server, he just didn't make much of an impact, so I'm going to go ahead and put him at B. Right. Rum, he's another Sith bounty hunter, like to gank mid PvP and abusing the griefing mechanics. So because of that, and he also had a bad obsession with Wired, I'm going to put him at E. Alright, Anza, just like Revan, pretty much same situation. Didn't make much of an impact on the server by his own choice. I have played with Anza, I know he's a good player. You know, some of the few fights that I did see, he was always competent, he played well, and he led his group. So I think if Anza continued to play consistently on Finalizer, I think he would have made it to S tier. But this is a Finalizer grade, so I'm going to go ahead and put him at A. I think that's fair. Alright, so MJ. MJ was pretty good at baiting fights, but he did get caught out a lot. I know MJ doesn't really care about dying, which is a good thing. I think it's a good trait to have, but you know, since he was reliable in team fights and he was a strong soldier, I'm going to put him at B. Okay, at Mumbo, it's just another lackey in Rufio's group, and he attempted to dock staff and spread wild tinfoil hack conspiracy theories in Discord and on the forums. Played Master Defender, and he would literally just sit at a base terminal trying to shut it down anytime we would take a base. So because he never made any positive impact on the server, he goes to F. Mikolov, he dropped Knight several times after losing some fights, and I never saw him again after this, so I think he's going to go to E. Corrupt, he is a good Master Healer Jedi. He was always on point, he listens well, and he's good DPS to have in the group, so I'm going to put him at the A tier. Impaler, or known as Johnny Imp, and he's just really bad at Jedi and PvP in general. I don't think PvP is for him. He was just constantly finding excuses and just being a total hypocrite. He banned anyone from his stream or Discord for disagreeing with him, so like having a differing opinion. And honestly, I just saw him lose every fight he was in. So because he ended up rage quitting the server on top of that, he goes to F. Alright, so Care Bear only saw for the first couple months on the server. Did mostly well, listened, but I would need to see more to give him a higher grade. So I'm going to put him at average and see. Chronic, he's a good dude, but usually got caught out a lot too. And he had a good attitude about it, so I'm going to go ahead and put him at C. Jeff Everyman, I think Jeff is going to go to C. The reason why, he usually has bad takes about the game, like he's a boomer. But I think, you know, wanting to remove the FRS is just completely stupid. A lot of people play this game to have a ladder and to have a goal to rank up in the game. But when you talk to him, he's alright. So, like, if I talk to him one-on-one, he's usually chill. And he did actually fight me, which was a cool thing, so I respect him for that. But, you know, he does support things like group theft too. So I like Jeff for that. So Jeff will go to the C tier. Jeffers, he's just a runner and a ganker, and he did not contribute anything to PvP. He seems like he's a newer player. I'm going to put him at D. Alright, we've got John Henry. A classic example of gear does not make the player, because he was very geared, but he was a very bad player. He was always out of position and dying early, and I know he was known for going on the forums and Discord and saying, "Don't sell gear to rebels." So because of that mentality and attitude, I'm just going to put him in F. So we got Heiser. He was part of Anza's group. He was pretty decent at surviving, had a big gun, and he was a pretty good rifleman. So I'm going to put him at B. The Jenner played for the first few months on the server, but ended up rage quitting. He would constantly go on the forums and actually mantis tickets and spread misinformation. But he was very geared CM, but he was very bad at CM. So because he was always flopping and he didn't contribute much except crying on the forums or bug reports with no evidence, he's going to go to F tier. Alright, Girths. Another player who only played for a couple months. He was very good CM, and he did help heal the group and make a big difference when he played. So I'm going to put him at A tier for his limited gear. Okay, and Illusia. Illusia is newer to PvP, but has learned a lot. Played CM and Jedi for us and was willing to help the group with whatever we needed. So I'm going to put Illusia at C. So Kind is the #1 top F tier player on this list. He's a complete hypocrite. He's constantly trying to drive people off the server with fake news and drama. He has like 200 losses on the PvP leaderboard. And honestly, he would just die first out of anybody, anytime. Like, even if we were outnumbered, like, he would just like fall over and die. So he was a very bad combat medic, even though he was very rich and had a lot of gear. But yeah, just his propaganda and his staunch leftism, he's gonna go on the F tier. Alright, so Fenry played early with Rufio, but quit really early, so that's an E tier. And we've got Azaya, who played for a few fights, just like Anza and Revan, but she's generally helpful to the team, and I acknowledge that she's good at organization and leadership. But the problem is she just didn't play very much, and she was only active for a few fights. So she didn't make a big difference on Finalizer, so I will put her at B. Alright, so Samurai was a trash bounty hunter. He just liked to gank and lock Jedi out of PvP as well. He played a swordsman PvP, but in his videos that he would upload, he would just like run around not hitting anybody or doing anything. I don't know what the hell he was doing, so I'm going to put him at E tier. Alright, so Warstone, he started out okay initially. He actually did acknowledge the imp side was unenjoyable to be around. He played Rifleman Doctor, not a great template. But his performance was never stellar, and he did end up drinking the Kool-Aid from Kind and the others, unfortunately, and became a weirdo. So because he would just regurgitate nonsense and not actually think for himself, and he actually did exploit, I'm going to put him in F tier. We've got MF Doombot, who in my opinion is one of the better Imperial players. He always had a good attitude, and he tried to get his team to PvP more, but people like Rufio, Kind, and Dibum would constantly just shut him down. So he couldn't really get anywhere with that. But he did have an interesting build, and I saw him make some decent plays at times. And yeah, he was a pretty good, I think he was pretty good Imperial, so I'm going to go ahead and put him at B. Alright, so we've got his Levy up next, who in my opinion is the best squad leader in the server. Very selfless player, always did what the group needed. He was always there, reliable. Always did what was the best for the group and helped out. And I think he was good at surviving as a squad leader, and he died very few times in actual PvP. So I'm going to put him at S tier. Alright, we've got Annette, who basically is just a clone of CD Pyro. He dropped Knight several times, and he was unable to be competitive or relevant in the slightest. He never made it past like rank 1 or 2, and he's just a very two-faced person and brought his real-life drama into the game. So because of that, I'm going to put him in F. We've got Always, who is a good rifleman. He helped farm, and he provided good cover for his team with his rifle. So I'm going to go ahead and put him at B. Plaxius, I think he was a Jedi that was starting to improve, but he just stopped playing with the rest of the imps. So I'm going to go ahead and put him at B. Larry Fish, another good rifleman, and he played during early Finalizer, so he's going to go up there with Always. MFN, he's a top tier normie player. I really like how MFN plays. He plays range very well, including rifles and carbs. He's always consistent, and you want him in your group. So I'm going to go ahead and put him at A tier. Mivius, not too much to say. Just dies too easily, and he has issues standing up. So frequent underperformer, and goes to E. Was a Dark Jedi who quit early on, and I only saw him in a couple fights, so I'll go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt that he was new and just gave up. Put him at D. Alright, so Pappy, I think he's actually a really good CM, but he wasn't too active on the server, but he did make good plays when I was out there with him the few times, so I'm going to go ahead and put him at B. Alright, so Gloomily is a fantastic rifleman. He's new to the game, I think, but he always learned and performed well, and he actually has improved a lot since he first started PvPing, and I've seen him out there, so I'm going to put Gloom at A. Alright, so Onyx, she just really wasn't seriously into PvP, so I'm just going to put her at D. A Squaw, I didn't see very much of him on the server. I think he was okay, but yeah, he just wasn't very active, and he seemed to be just kind of average, so I'm going to put him at C. Alright, and Tablet, he started PvPing towards the end of the peak of PvP. He did seem to improve a lot in his Jedi, and he does acknowledge the shortcomings of the imps, and he's actually decent to talk to. So I think I'm going to put Tablet at C as well. Alright, Violet, she was an early Dark Jedi, but just quit after a few fights as well. Go to E. Alright, so Crisis is like Violet, played for a couple weeks of PvP, but just couldn't hang, so he's going to go to E tier. Man like Naru definitely goes in the top 5 worst Jedi on the server, behind the other ones I mentioned already. He fed a ton of FRS, and he always would try to use his bounty hunter to lock people out of PvP, intentionally. So, since he's highly unstable and cancerous in terms of the harassment and trash talk, he's going to go to F tier as well. Alright, and up next, Mini Nolan. One of the best players to have played on Finalizer. He's super knowledgeable, very good at playing Normie, and he's got a good performance, big damage, so he's going to go in S tier. Alright, so Neener, he played pretty well once he got his bearings midway through the server when he was Rebel with us. He did good damage, was on point, and he supported the team with his build, so I'm going to put Neener at A. Alright, Marvin, he's an okay player. He's not good, he's not bad, but, you know, he wasn't around very much either. So he's going to go to C because he's pretty average overall. Long Balloon, terrible player, frequent shitposter on the forums. He got banned several times and just constantly just consumed those tinfoil hat conspiracy theories about staff. And he just really wasn't able to do anything meaningful except run macros on a squad leader. And he just doesn't compare to his levy. So based on all that, he's just going to go to F. Stomus. Stomus is a consistent Normie player. He was a good pikeman. I didn't see him make very many mistakes at all, so he's going to go to A. Alright, Wired. This guy is a complete legend on this server. He lives rent-free in the Imperial's heads to this day. He sparked a ton of PvP for us, and he made the Imperials fear him. So I think because of all those factors, in addition to his mechanics were pretty good, I think he's going to go to S tier. Some of the best memes on the server happen because of Wired. He's got to go to S. Alright, well, Bofi. Big trash talker, but unfortunately nothing to back it up. Constantly would just spam fruits and just would run around in circles, and he just really didn't make much of a big impact. I don't think he was a good healer, even though he was a master healer. He didn't really help his team out. But he was a big FRS farm for the Rebels. The Rebels got a ton of FRS from him. And I know he was forced to quit when he was evicted, so that's a big F. Alright, so Avenel. He's a member of the worst guild in SWGEmu's existence, and that guild is called Honor. And he just constantly ran his mouth, and he was awful at Jedi. I know he was banned for multiple times for lack of self-control in the forums, because he's another shitposter. So he's going to go in F as well. But yeah, Honor is the worst guild in SWGEmu's existence ever, hands down. Alright, so Big Dervish, he played Pistolier pretty well in PvP, and I don't think that's an easy feat since it's an underdog profession. But he had a good Geo Pistol, and he helped track targets down for PvP on his Bounty Hunter. He's also hilarious to play with, and good guy to be around, so I'm just going to go ahead and put him at B. Okay, and Big Dog played Fencer early, but poorly in the first month or two of the server, and then quit after that. He's going to go to E. Gucci is very bad at Jedi, mostly running around to houses and things like that. He didn't contribute to anything. And he also sexually harassed women on the server, which was kind of cringe, so he's going to go to F. Espen I didn't see around too much, but he PvP'd a few times, and I think he focused more on PvE, so he's going to go to D. Hellbent, possibly a newer Jedi. He was in Sith, but he didn't really seem to improve much either, so I'm going to put him at D. Udama is a strong Jedi player, one of the better ones in the server. He's experienced and he knows the game like the back of his hand, and because he's dependable and you want him in your group, I'm going to put him in the A tier. Alright, so Jaxa, the infamous FR3 runner, and he mostly was just there to waste your time, so he's going to go to E. JMX, he PvP'd in a few fights, but then disappeared. I need to get a better idea of him, so he's going to go to C since he didn't play very much. Ifrin, a CM player, but not very good at it at all. He did not seem to improve the fights for his team, though he was there pretty often, so he's going to go to E. So Kismol, Dark Jedi, he dropped Knight and then he quit the game early on, E tier. And then Ilo, he played Commando and Squad Leader, but he didn't really make much of an impact at all. He did like to sit on roofs and run Squad Leader macros though, so because he'd like to do that, I'll give him the E. Kino is a drama starter and whiner, and I know he deleted his Jedi after losing on it too many times. Generally just a shitty player and shitty person to be around, so not much more to say than that other than an F. Then we've got Kier, which is a decent Commando player. Helped the imps with their damage with his grenades. Put him at C because he was okay. Alright, so Psychology, he PvP'd a couple times but made very little contribution to it. But honestly, he's mostly known for his history of just toxicity, and he liked to play the victim card a lot. He's just a big crybaby, so I'm going to put him at E. Vaki was an early AOW player, but didn't seem to last, so we're going to put him at D. Alright, so we've got Simplistic, who's just a great all-around player, good at getting under the enemy team's skin, and I think he's good at shot calling too. He started doing that on here, I saw, so that was pretty nice to see. He also supports a team. He always goes a template that's, you know, helpful to the team, so because he is support, I'm going to put him at A as well. Alright, Yran dropped Knight and just disappeared, never saw again. D. Vyrix, he is part of VV, which is probably almost as bad as the Honor Guild. Just a sad Jedi performance. He never really got high rank, and lots of trash talk and just nothing to back it up. Very enjoyable person. So I'm going to put him at F. Zenik is a stellar rifleman. I think he would be an S if he was on the server more actively. He's probably one of the best riflemen I've ever seen in PvP. So if he was more active, I would put him in an immediate S, but because he was not playing very much, I'm going to put him at A. Earthworm, he played some odd builds, and I think he was like a newer player. He just had a very marginal impact. I'm going to put him at D. Disciple, known as Brooksy, a very unhinged individual, and he's also in the top 5 worst Jedi on the server. He refused to fight, he was caught out all the time, and he just always had some excuse. He's died like 60 times on his Jedi, and he would just have meltdowns for no reason at all. He only liked to farm PvE bosses like Divum. Yeah, just a trash person, trash player all around. Going to F. Ox is a consistent player, very good at Jedi, and usually on point and chill to have in your group, so I'm going to put him at A tier. Alright, so Chubby dropped Knight and just had a poor performance overall, so I'm going to go ahead and put him in E tier. Jorts was also an early AOW player, but didn't really stick around other than a couple fights, so going to D as well. Mac Chicken is a Master Healer Jedi. He can lead groups, he's good at DPS, he's good at healing, and he's good at picking out soft targets, so because he's good at pretty much everything, I'm going to go ahead and put him in S. Lead Sauce, only had a couple fights, minimal impact, going to D. Matthew, only seen around trying to gank for FRS and not actual PvP. I don't think he got super high up in the FRS, but I know he did drop the Knight. I think it was like rank 6 or 7 he dropped, so I gotta put him at E for that. Megaphone was Finalizer's first squad leader. He made a very big impact when the meta was developing, so because of that, and he always helped the group, I'm gonna put him at A tier. Otis Redding, another great normie player, did well, and he didn't have much gear to do it, so I'm going to go ahead and put him at A. Owns You, Master Healer Jedi, he was good performance, and you wanted him to have on your team because he did good damage. Put him at A. Papa Bravo, generally unwilling to PvP and will just run, and he dropped Knight, so because he has a long history of losing and things like that, he's going to go to E tier. Alright, Rockwell. He was an early Jedi, but I think he was like new to the game and he just didn't really make much of an impact, unfortunately, so he goes to D. Shirtless also dropped Knight and usually running away and not helping his team, goes to E. Zin is a strong performing CM and bounty hunter, good attitude and generally dependable, so I'm going to go ahead and put Zin at A. Death was permanently banned for his attacks on staff and his general shitty attitude. He got farmed before he got banned, so I'm going to go ahead and put him at F. Okay, and Eclipse was a bounty hunter, just frequently trying to just abuse the lockup mechanic, never really did anything exceptional or notable. So because there was no skill from him, he goes to E. Hover, he dropped Knight and then he quit. So he goes to E. And Connor was, I think, new to the game, but he learned quickly and improvised. And I think because of the way he actually trolled the server and made such an impact, I'm going to go ahead and put him at A. Atamic was a new player, but didn't really make much of a difference. He goes to D. Alcazor, he dropped Knight and quit. He goes to E. Lawn Steady, he only PvP'd twice and was never seen again, so I think he was kind of bad. He goes to E. Davin is a newer Dark Jedi. Well, he PvP'd and then his group quit, so I'm going to go ahead and put him at D for the benefit of the doubt. Clown Baby was also an AOW member. He played Normie Tune, but he didn't stick around long enough to get higher than C, so I'm going to put him at C. Durin, pretty much same situation as Clown Baby, going to go to C. Solos was a crappy bounty hunter, just like the gank Jedi during PvP, goes to E tier. Hyperion, only a couple appearances really. I'm going to go to D tier because I don't really know much about him. General Wards, Dark Jedi, quit early on, D. Warlord, another Jedi, quit early on, D. Alright, got Jackper. Jackper is a pretty decent player. He helped in group PvP and he switched Rebel when the imps just got way too toxic, so because he was always respectful and chill to have in the group, I'm going to give Jackper a B. Sleepy is a great team player, usually on point, goes B. Marine is a good Jedi healer and would usually respond to pings, very helpful player, goes to A. And then we've got Snuggie. Snuggie was solid Jedi early on, good DPS, and plays as a team. He's going to go to B. And we have Riaro, who is one of the top healers in the server. He made it to rank 11 with me, and he was always putting the team first. So because Riaro is a great player to have in your team, he's going to go to S. Alright, and somehow Zop got lost in this list, so he's an important one to do. We're just going to wrap this up real quick with him. Zop is a great Jedi. He did a lot of different builds to help the group out. He's the guild leader of Onyx, very important part of the JRO collective, and JRO had high success on the server thanks to him and his guild. So I think based on everything he's done in PvP and how he's helped train some people on the Rebel side, how to play Jedi and how to PvP, his contributions and his skill level, Zop gets an S. Alright, so that's pretty much it. This is the completed list, and I think it's a fair grade for everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you next time.